Hello everyone, in this video we are going to discuss about Dryden and his famous critical work An Essay of Dramatic Poesy. Dryden was an English poet, literary critic, librettist, translator and playwright. Restoration period is also known as the Age of Dryden because through the work of Dryden we can get a detailed information about the Restoration period. I have already made a video on the Restoration period. You can check the video link in the description below. Dryden is called the father of English criticism. Dryden was the dominating figure of the Restoration period. His greatest contribution to the English poetry was his use of heroic couplet. His most famous satirical poem, Absalom and Achitophel, and Medal and Macfagno, also his great satirical works. His best dramatic work, Marriage a la Mode and Is All for Love. Dryden was an influential English poet. Walter Scott called him Glorious John. Dryden called the critic's critic. He is also known as the father of English criticism. With Dryden, a new era of criticism began. His best-known critical work is An Essay of Dramatic Poesy, which was written in 1666 during the Great Plague of London and which was published in 1668. This essay is all about a discussion among four people. Dryden narrates four characters in this essay, including himself. Here, Crities, who is actually Robert Howard, brother-in-law of Dryden. Lisideius, Sir Charles Sidley, was an English dramatist and politician. Eugenius, who is actually Charles Sackville, was an English poet, courtier, and a British politician. And Neander, Dryden. Once these four people traveling in a boat on the Thames River, and they started a discussion among themselves on poetry, ancient or modern writers, French or English writers. Very soon, their discussion turned into a debate. First, Crities started the discussion. He spoke for ancient Greek and Roman dramatists. He talks about Aristotle and his imitation of life. He says, we must admit the superiority of ancient writers, where we find the conflict between good and evil, which helps us to understand the truth of life. Many modern writers followed the classical writers like Ben Jonson, who borrowed a lot from classics. And he also said that classical writers were much more proficient in language. Then Eugenius defended modern dramatists and attacked the ancient authors. According to Eugenius, modern writers learned a lot from the ancient, but they went ahead on their own merits. He points out some errors of the ancient authors. He said that ancient writers wrote without any plan. Ancient writers neglected love when they depicted emotion and actions in their works, where modern writers gave up all for love. He said modern writers enjoyed nature naturally. And then Lisideius, who spoke for French drama. According to Lisideius, French drama is supreme, which followed unity, time, pace, and action very perfectly. According to Lisideius, French dramatists never mixed tragedy and comedy. Lisideius said French authors never dramatized the scene of blood, killing, and horrible noises on the stage. They avoided all these absurd scenes. French authors had the right way to divide time between narration, action, and dialogue. In this respect, French authors were perfect. Then Neander. Here he speaks for Elizabethan authors. He says French plays may be regular but not as lively and joyful as the English. He mentioned Shakespeare's plays, which make life and human nature vivid and very fair. He claimed tragic comedy is the best form of drama, where emotions are expressed by both joy and sorrow, which makes it even more interesting. He also said that English invented many ways of writing which were unknown to the ancients. Shakespeare had the most comprehensive soul than any other modern and ancient writers. Shakespeare was the Homer and the father of English dramatists. I love Shakespeare, who learned naturally, not through books but by the reading of nature. He did not need to look outwards but his own humanity. In the end, Crities attacked rhyme, and he said rhymes are absolutely absurd in drama, which is very unnecessary, unnatural in a play, and insist that the most natural verse form for the stage is blank verse, whereas Dryden defended rhymes. Dryden said in plays where the subject and characters are great, rhyme is there as natural and more effectual than blank verse. Rhyme briefly and clearly explains everything. So like this, they end their debate without any conclusion because they had reached their destination. It was all about today. Thanks for listening me, and And if you found this video is helpful for you, give a thumbs up before you go.